Hello everyone, welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. We are live on YouTube and on Twitter tonight, so get yourself over to the YouTube channel, get yourself subscribed and get yourself involved in the live chat as I welcome you along to the Scott's therapy session, because that's probably what it will turn into a little bit tonight. Kind of missed Tuesday night therapy sessions, but they're fully back in action now. I am, of course, Scott Carney, and joining me tonight is Scotia Gemmell. Scott, how are you, mate?
Evening, Carney. Evening, everyone. I think it's one of these familiar themes of this season so far that me personally, I'm fine. Rangers things definitely not so fine. They keep contriving to find ways to kind of annoy you, upset you. The weekend there was another example of that.
Yeah, wasn't enjoyable, mate. No, was not great at all. Not even slightly. It was poor, very very poor. But all of different things, I suppose we'll get into. See, please give my Club at 22 therapy. Yes, this is what we're here for. This is what we're here to bring. We're here to bring you therapy sessions, as we are what we've been witness to anyway so far from Rangers this season. Sorry if I sound a little bit off. This cold is flirting with me in the worst possible way. It's not really hitting me fully, but it's affecting my voice a little bit tonight, I've realised. So do sorry if I sound a little bit croaky. But yeah, just obviously before we get into things, obviously it is our up and coming live show at the Viceroy, which will be on the 16th of January. We are very much looking forward to that. We will be bringing a kind of party show, I suppose, from the Viceroy. They're very kindly going to put up with us for an evening. Again, tickets are going extremely well for this, and I can't emphasise enough that these are not limitless tickets. There is a number of them, and when they're gone, they are gone because of the size of the venue. But we very much hope you can come along to it. We're very much looking forward to it. Tickets are £10. We'll run from about 7:30 till about 10. I mean, there's no real set time on it, but till about 10 you can get your tickets by scanning the QR code that is on the screen, or you can click the link in the description for this podcast to get them, but make sure you get them before they are gone. Thank you everybody who's bought a ticket so far, and yeah, we're very much looking forward to it. Scotia, you were saying you've not fully managed to get it off of work yet, and I said, well, that's okay, because the plan for your entrance was to swing through the window like a commando, mate, and be helicoptered in from your place of work, mate. So don't worry about it, mate. You can make a late appearance, and it will be an entrance to remember.
Maybe not quite the helicopter. I'll fly up in the motor after I finish. No, I should hopefully be there for the full thing. I'm just hoping anyway, because I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, it should be a cracking night. It really will. As I say, we're going to speak about pretty much the full 5 years. There'll be a lot to speak about. There'll be Seville stories. There'll be other stories that we've maybe not fully probably went into on air, but there'll definitely going to be plenty of laughs, that's for sure, and a few surprises along the way. And I was going to work on a blooper reel for you, Scotia, for how many times you were on mute when you've been on the pod, but I thought it'll probably take up the full show, mate. That's probably a good 3 or 4 hours worth.
I'm always very poor at managing to go back and get that off. It's something that's still not drilled into me after all these years.
Yeah, but no, there will be some stories, so be sure to come along and join us. Very much looking forward to it. And before we get any further, sorry everybody, thank you very much to Tom, who came up to us in the Viceroy on Sunday and very kindly brought the lads around. Very much appreciated, Tom, and thank you very much for the support, and I hope you've managed to get yourself subscribed now. But no, thank you, Tom, very much appreciated. Right, Scotia, I've delayed the inevitable as long as I possibly can. We now need to speak about Rangers. Look, Rangers now, Falkirk now. I'm not going to sit here for half an hour and try and dissect a game that had literally nothing happen in it. It was as poor as you like from Rangers. Scotia. We're a team just now that's kind of devoid of anything, really. There's not really anything about the team. No creativity, no desire, no cohesion, no real game-changing quality from any sort of player, and it really is a tough ask to go to Ibrox right now, and the attendance on Sunday, I think, reflected that, but less than an ideal end to our weekend, mate.
No, certainly this, for me, Carney, this has always kind of been a concern in the back of my mind since Rule took over, since before we went on that international break there, and then obviously came back from that with the injuries. It was always kind of get through to January. And I know you've named this, but is it January yet? And then unfortunately it isn't, because it was always the task was to get through to January, you know, trying to improve the team, which obviously we're getting fewer or more clean sheets, sorry, should I say. But like you say, the quality middle to front, particularly with those injuries, is non-existent at times. It feels like we could play games for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and we still wouldn't come away with anything. It's a bit concerning. It was always in the back of my mind, like I say, and if I'm being honest, Falkirk maybe wasn't one that's maybe doing Falkirk a disservice, but that was maybe one. Falkirk at Ibrox, I thought we would be okay with that one. I was more concerned about some of the games coming up later on in December. But we are where we are, and unfortunately, we do need to stumble through. And I know there's a wee bit of chat about. I've seen some fans speak about Rule, and sort of the focus is maybe turning the attention onto him. I don't know much more that he can do with what the squad that he's getting given. Delwell has left us in a real mess. Some of the players that played there at the weekend, it doesn't look like their heart's in it. It looks like they've chucked it already. Maybe they know something that we don't in terms of certain players returning to clubs and in January. And we'll need to wait and see that. But we've still got an awful lot of football to play between now and January coming. So it's one of these ones, like, it's almost strap yourself in, because that at the weekend might not be the exception. That might be the norm in some of the games that we're coming up for, and that's another worry going forward, because 7 and 9 points behind the teams above us. Celtic and Hearts. Sorry, I think Motherwell are just sitting. Are they joint with us, or are they a point ahead?
I think they're joint with us, mate. Mumble on a little bit and I'll just tell you.
Yeah, so it's what you want to keep in touch with them to kind of keep the league alive, if you want to say. But in my heart of hearts, do I believe the league's alive? Also, probably not. It's one of those ones that I mean, even January itself, you're not going to fix the issues with the squads in one transfer window. I think it's fair to say. I think this is going to be a process over 3, possibly even more transfer windows before we kind of rectify the mistakes that have been made in the summer there.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much all of that, mate. To be honest, you're right. Motherwell they're joint with us just now, but we've got a game in hand. They've played 14, we've played 13, so we do have a game in hand over Motherwell. But yeah, I think, and I don't want to steal anybody's point, but Ali said it to me when we were walking down the stairs after the game. He said that's been in the post, that performance, and I thought that's bang on, mate. And you all know very much that I do not like to give Alistair credit for anything that he ever does, but with it, when he said that, I went, mate, that's absolutely bang on. That's the feeling that I had. And Ali was actually, his anger was a wee bit reignited as well, which Ali hasn't been. He's been full apathy, to be honest. Ali really going to Ibrox recently, and Ali is quite a Scotia will back me up, and he's an emotional guy when it comes to Rangers, and he takes. It means everything to him, as it does all of us. And to see him like that, I thought, my God, they're breaking you again, mate. You've actually went full circle. And I was angry as well, but I was also, again, I kind of accepted it towards the end. I was going, we could be playing for another 2 weeks here and we're not scoring a goal, because we don't create chances. We really don't. We're a very boring team to watch, extremely boring. And collectively as a team, it was just off the boil. It really was off the boil, so far off the boil, actually. And ultimately, look, we're so disappointed by it, because if you've got any real chance of really maintaining any sort of challenge for a title, Falkirk at home, and I no disrespect to them, but Falkirk at home is a game you win. It's just one of those games that you win. I thought it would be a slog, but I didn't expect us to drop points. I thought we'll get there. It'll be a narrow win, maybe 1-2-0 or something. A late goal on in the second half would get us a 2-0 win. That's generally what I thought going to the game. But just the level of performance for me was just so bad. And it's almost like, why am I shocked? Because this team really don't have much this group of players, this squad, don't really have much in terms of a portfolio to show you, oh, this is what we've done, or this is what we're capable of. This is just them. This is the level that they are at, and this is the level that we have got to, which is it's just poor. I'll quickly touch on, because you mentioned it, the Danny Rule criticism. In my opinion, look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Generally, they are. I think that's my opinion on people that are really seriously questioning his ability right now is bought us out of frustration more than it is anything else. I don't think it's truly based on the man, because you can't really judge him for this 6 weeks here. I think you can hear in his comments that he's making when he's doing the 16 pressers that he's got to do a week as a Rangers manager, that he knows things aren't right here, and he knows that there's a lot of work to be done. And yes, I was all for getting rid of Russell Martin, because I genuinely believed he was the wrong guy. I don't have that feeling with Danny Rule, Scotia. I have the feeling of, right, you might not be the right guy. I'm not going to say that I don't know for sure if Danny Rule is going to be the guy, the correct choice for Rangers, the guy that will take us on to the fortunes that we want to come our way. But apart from a few questionable decisions, I think, which we'll maybe come to, I suppose, in terms of starting 11, in terms of some of the subs, and again, I can kind of understand why sometimes, but I'm not at the point yet where I'm looking at the manager and going, I'm doubting you. I'm not really there yet. I believe he needs at least the rest of this season anyway to have any sort of real report card for us to be able to sit down and assess. It hasn't been a perfect start, but I think it was a massive dose of realisation when he came in that after who did we play when he first came in? The Brann game. When he came in initially, I went, it doesn't matter if you just change the manager. It's not all of a sudden a magic wand. Ultimately, the two that have departed, the three that have departed, including Russell Martin, that have departed the club, they've left a hell of a mess for him behind them, for Danny Rule to clean up. So for me, right now, he's still very much in the benefit of the doubt category.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there, Carney. I think it would be far too harsh to judge him. After what's he played, 5 games in the league. Has he played now?
Yep.
5 games in the league he's played now. There has been a slight improvement. Unfortunately, we need a bit more. So I'm with you there in terms of you give him until, it's one of these ones. It's similar to how we looked at when Gio came in, when Beale came in, when Clement came in. They all came in partway into the season, and it was like you give them until the next season and you look at what they're doing there. I think it would be harsh to judge him based on what was left to him, because a lot of that team were already devoid of confidence by the time he came in, and there's a lot of them in that team that I don't see them getting it back. Could be wrong, but I very much doubt it that they'll get back to any level of confidence to be able to play for us successfully, or the way that we would like them to play. So you do need to give them the benefit of the doubt there. But we are football fans, we're fickle. Should results go against us?
Rangers fans, anyway.
More so than most, yes. But should results not go the way, like you mentioned there, I think that's something to maybe watch out for over the next few games in terms of the starting 11 that you select. And there's already, for me, there's a couple of players that are the answer, possibly not, but I would have liked to have seen them get a chance. I think one in particular, I just get the impression that he's maybe not the manager's type of player, in Lyle Cameron. But I could be wrong. There could be some underlying thing there that we'll maybe see him contribute more over the next few games. But because we're football fans, we're going to do that. I think as well, the feeling certainly at the weekend there, I think it was compounded for me a wee bit by the manner that we managed to chuck the game away against Braga on the Thursday night. Things like that happen, and it's a culmination of things that just make you feel, like you mentioned the word there earlier, apathetic. And I would imagine a lot of Rangers fans probably feel the same, that there's a bit of apathy. I mean, you said it before we started. I've seen someone in the comments say it there. Are you really looking forward to the game tomorrow night? Honesty.
If I'm being honest, mate, no, no, because I think everything that you're saying is correct, and I think there's with the way situations are, I think many things can be right at the same time. I don't think you have to be on one side or the other side. I think there's many of these things that add up to be correct. I seen somebody mention, and as you mentioned as well, about the starting 11 selection. And I think the biggest bit that I'm most disappointed, probably not maybe in myself, I don't know, but I'm most disappointed that so far when Danny Rule came in, I remember saying on podcasts on this channel, I remember saying I'd love to see a new manager with these players, certainly one of the players, to see if you would get anything out of them. And it's been 5 weeks now, so you can look at it kind of with an oversight, with an overview of what you have seen so far. And some of the players that I thought he maybe get something out of, he hasn't, which again then results back to the recruitment side of things for me. I think somebody said there, surely it's a sign of a good coach to get the best out of a bad bunch. I do understand that, yes, but you've got to remember that he's went 5 games in the league without losing, which is something that couldn't have been said about Russell Martin. He won 4 games on the bounce, again, something that couldn't be said about Russell Martin. So to an extent, he has made the team better. He did stop us conceding goals for a little bit. But then Giga came back in. Sorry, but the I think he has improved, but just nowhere near as what we want as fans. And I'm just as guilty of it myself as well, to be kind of demanding results now and performances now, and it's easy to fall down that. But I think, Scotia, the only thing I can criticise Danny Rule for just now is the starting 11. But I also don't want to fall into this trap, mate, that players automatically become better when they're not in the starting 11, because that happens all the time, literally all the time. Next, we'll just say we'll be calling for Matondo and Dow to get back into the squad. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, remember these guys and what they are. But it's always the two, mate, and it's the two that stick out, is Curtis and for Cameron. With Asgard, I can't see the point in persevering with this guy. He has shown me, apart from a goal, which was a very good goal, he's done absolutely nothing. And that's nowhere near enough for the player in his position. It's nowhere near enough. Are we at the point now where Danny Rule abandons him? Just kind of goes, it's not going to happen for you here, son, because if someone was to come in and match what we paid for him in January, I would happily see the back of him. He's a guy that looks like he doesn't want to be here. He's a guy that looks like he just doesn't have what it takes to be the number 10 for us. I think on Sunday again, he was terribly poor. And when you do have a guy like Cameron on the bench that we all know, he knows the Scottish game. And I'm not saying Cameron's going to be ultimately a world beater and he's going to come in and he's going to change the fortunes of Rangers and make us all of a sudden one of the most creative teams in Scotland, because I think that's too far gone. I really do. I think the squad is too far gone for that. I think we need recruitment in order to fix that. I really do think that. But surely Cameron is a better shout than Asgard now, mate.
I would think so. I think he could do with some time out the team at the moment. I wouldn't go so far as to say we sell him in January. I'm still clinging on to small amounts of hope that he can come good, but I think a spell out the team would be quite good for him. It doesn't help that the players behind him haven't exactly been setting the world on fire, in particular in terms of Raskin and Diamandi. I think they've both had pretty poor seasons by their standards so far. So I don't want to blame all the lad on that, put all the load on that lad. So a wee time out the team could be good for him, I think. Like you say, a Cameron in there. Even Barjamis, when he's come back in out the cold a bit, he's actually looked a more impressive and the sort of appearances he's made. It looks as if he can give us a bit more than Asgard currently is.
Yeah, Barami was just purely effort though at the weekend, if that makes sense. It was like effort. And we fell into the trap with this with Barron as well before, and I'm not saying anything bad about Connor Barron, but it's just the effort. But it's like, for whatever reason, the rest of the players have sunk into this lull again of just nothing. There's just absolutely a lull of nothingness. Nothing really happens. And Asgard is just he's a focal point because he's meant to be the creative player. And Brahmi did more than, and Brahmi wasn't. I mean, Brahmi was good. I wouldn't say he was good. He was better than Asgard, but it wouldn't have been difficult because all he did was show a bit of effort, and it looked like he wanted to take a man on. Asgard for me he just looks lost for me.
Yeah, but what you say there about effort, just putting in the wee bit of effort, it gets the fans more on side. You know what it's like. If there's someone that's playing, they're not playing well, it doesn't look like they're applying themselves well, we're going to take a dislike to them, if you want to say, quicker than you would someone that at least puts in a wee bit of effort. It can go a long way. It can't obviously mask all the shortfallings of the team, but it can help. It can help, and it can give the crowd a wee bit more to kind of hold on to. But yeah, I agree. I think he could do the world of good for him if he was just left out of the team for a wee period of time.
Yeah, as I say, for me, I'm at the point where I'm like, nah, that's plenty. I don't need to see him anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I even think, even coming off the bench, I don't think he's made an impact when he's came off the bench either. And as I say, I'm not saying that Cameron all of a sudden is going to be an absolute kind of world beater in terms of all of a sudden it's going to change our fortunes, but he's surely got to offer more than what Asgard currently is. I mean, at points, our most forward player on Sunday was like Connor Barron, and no disrespect again to Connor Barron, but that's not the guy that I want there. I don't want Connor Barron to be there. That's not what I would like him to be. So yeah, for me, Asgard, I think right now there's not many Rangers fans that are happy to see him playing, happy to see him starting games. And I think Danny Rule does have a decision to make with him in terms of where his future lies. I love your amazing ability, Scott, to try and remain half glass full on these players, mate. I do love it, but I'm so far done with
That's
my
all I've got.
I know, mate. I know it's all you can do. And you're right though about Raskin and Diomande. Raskin's, I mean, honestly, just I don't know what's happened to him. I generally don't know what's happened to him. I still stand by that he's not done anything since that game he came back after Russell Martin dropped him, and since then he's been rank. He's been poor. He's been better in spells than others, but no, I've not seen anything. And Diomande for me, I mean, again, another one that in January I'd happy to see him go. I've never understood it. I don't get it. I don't think he's good enough, and he's causing us more problems than he's creating chances or anything like that, because he's making silly fouls, he's making daft errors, and yeah, for me, I'm a wee bit fed up of seeing it. So yeah, but I think Curtis is the other one, Scotia, and I think it's natural just to move on and speak to him. With the news that Ant-Man's now out for about 8 weeks due to a muscle injury, that he went for a scan today, and has came back. It's a pretty serious injury, and he's going to be out for 8 weeks. Ant-Man again, one game against Victoria Pilsen, I thought he looks good, and then I tried to stick with him. I tried to remain half glass full with him as well, but on Sunday he was awful, man, really, really poor. Again, everybody was, but he was poor. But this is going to open the door for Curtis now, Scotia, you would like to think. And I for one, am for it. And I'm not putting too much pressure on the lad. That I expect him to come in and be the second coming of Messi. But he's a guy that he's a goal threat for us. And right now, in a team that is just lacking goals, why would we not play a guy that's already put the ball in the back of the net a few times this season? So I think now, though, what's your thoughts on this with Ant-Man being out, with Mikey Moore being out? I think there's definitely room there for Curtis to be getting a lot more minutes with the current injury situation that we have.
Yeah, I would agree. I would have had Curtis in the team for a lot more minutes than the 15 he got at the weekend there, a lot earlier. Like you say, maybe Rule's just wanting to play it a wee bit because he's a younger lad, but he's came in and the games that he played at the start of the season, he was like one of our main goal threats there. And I'd even go so far. I know it's maybe not where he would play, but given what we've got up front at the minute as well, is that something you look at in there playing him? And you maybe need someone alongside him up there because it's maybe not quite his game in terms of the hold-up play and stuff. But he got an awful lot of goals for the B team when he was there. I think he was on 60 plus, wasn't he? A couple of seasons that he played in the B team. So I think there's a place in the team for him. Like you say, we go back, gives you the effort. He's scored plenty of times already this season. I don't see where the negatives are in it, to be honest. And like I say, I'm a wee bit surprised that he's not been playing more than he has so far.
Yeah, me too, mate. I think we've all been a wee bit kind of shocked. I know he had a wee bit of an injury, yeah, but I think we've all been shocked that but especially when we've been chasing games, he's been on the bench and stuff. You're like, why is he not coming on? But I think now with the Ant-Man situation, I think the door for Curtis will be kind of open now, and hopefully we do get to see more of him. He is one hopefully for the future, and one that we can hopefully build on, and hopefully not pile too much pressure on the lad. But I just think, again, I don't think they two come in and immediately change our fortunes, but I think they'll offer more. And right now, I mean, 2, 3, 4% more than what we are getting creative wise out of this team would be night and day. Genuinely, it would be night and day, because right now we just don't do it. We literally just don't do it. So hopefully we see a little bit more of them. We'll speak about strikers, Scotia, because I think we have to. And obviously, Danilo was our third choice striker last season, and I think you can all see why. Shamiti has been an unmitigated failure, let's not lie. For the money that we paid for him, he's nowhere near the guy that we would expect to have for an £8 million signing. And Miovski, Scotia, I don't know what's happened here. Honestly, I've got no idea. Every time I watch Miovski, I'm going, you're not the guy that I thought you were. And that's a really difficult one to put your finger on, Scotia, isn't it? About what has happened to Miovski. Who is the guy that where is the guy they thought we were getting? Am I being too generous on him? But is it because the rest of the team are just so devoid of any sort of creativity that we don't create chances for him? Is he trying too hard in order to try and make up for that? Or is he just a guy that has completely lost all form and he's just not the guy that we thought we were getting?
I think you could probably label it as a combination of all the above. I'm going to be honest. I was looking forward to me obviously coming in, but there was a slight concern that him coming in to play for us is not the exact same as how he would have been playing when he was with Aberdeen. There was going to be a wee bit of difference there, just in the terms of teams that were coming up against, how we play that way. But I thought he would have the quality to kind of over that. I don't think he had the best of seasons when he was over in Spain, so I don't know if that's contributed to anything, but I certainly expected him to be better than he's shown so far, and unfortunately him combined with the other two that you mentioned there leaves us really, really, really weak up front. The weakest I remember has been up front in a long while.
Yeah, and you keep reminding me about how we shouldn't have got rid of Dessers. We shouldn't have got rid of Dessers. And I'm like, I get that sentiment. I do, but the guy at the age that he was, the money that we were getting back for him, it made sense for him to move on. But yeah.
No, I completely understand that, the sense behind that. It's one of these ones when you're getting rid of a player that's contributing. Even though he was very frustrating at the time, I do understand the reasons why we let him go. But we've been extremely unfortunate in terms of the players that were brought in to replace that front line from last season have been nowhere near good enough so far.
Yeah, Thelwell and Stewart have rid off into the sunset with a hefty little pay package going. Well, it's not our problem anymore, and they have left us in a bit of a pickle. That's for absolute sure. And there's as you mentioned, Scotia, and the title of this is it January yet? Danny Rule in his press conference today was asked how many players do you think and how many players you're going to sign, etc. All the things, as if he's going to give a definite number. But he did say, I'm not going to say 4 or 5, which I think everybody's looked at and went, well, you think we need at least 4 or 5. He's not going to say that because then he'll beat over the head if we don't. All I will say about the transfer recruitment that's coming up here, see if we go into this window and we recruit 3 guys from the English Championship on loan that are all 21 and have played 16 seconds of football in the past 4 years, then everybody at the club deserves every bit of criticism that will come their way, I think. Rangers have to be really clever in this window, and it's not the best window going into it, I do understand that, but there will be players out there that we'll be able to get. We need experience. We need a centre half. We need a centre mid, and we need a striker. And then you can look around about that. Probably a left back, I would imagine as well, in order to give some sort of backup to Magoma and stop playing Aaron's there, because nobody wants to see that anymore either. But would you agree with that, Scotia? It's crucial now for the recruitment has to be correct. We have to get experience into the team. We have to get guys that are tried, tested, done the job, and know what it's all about. And guys with just basic desire, mate. Desire to want to win games, desire to want to play for Rangers, to make it look like they care and they want to give everything for the team. And the spine of the team is the bit that I think needs the most attention.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with that. Certainly centre half, but in fact, maybe two centre halves, because I know Rule mentioned there in his press conference today that it's looking likely that both Giga and Diamandi, now I know we've criticised them already, but it's more just a numbers game for me there. Both them potentially going to AFCON December, January. So they'll be out for a good wee while. So we certainly need numbers in there. Midfield, totally agree. We could do with something in there. And yeah, up front speaks for itself. I think one of the potential advantages of this transfer window is that the World Cup is coming up at the end of the season. Is there anyone out there that's maybe not getting the game time that they would like to get in and play for their country? You would like to think that if you're buying a player that's playing full international or aspiring to be a full international, maybe a wee bit out the picture at the moment or something, that they would have experience, because I'm totally in a total agreement with you in terms of I do not want to see Championship English players coming up to fill numbers. It needs to be people with experience. You'd like to think people that Scotland's would be a very difficult league to shop in during the January transfer window, because you are kind of buying from within your own league during the middle of a season. Is there anyone that stood out for me I would bring in? I've not looked at it in enough detail, Carney, to have any definitive answer for that. But it feels like we've said this numerous times over the last 4 or 5 years in terms of this transfer window is massive for us. But I think we can safely say, looking at the team that started it at the weekend, looking at the bench, it's the worst squad we've had since certainly since Gerrard took over. So
I think you could put an argument forward.
Yeah,
I think you could put an argument forward that this is probably the worst squad since we've came back up, to be honest. But I just, you kind of look at the players that we've had kind of throughout that time, back into the Premiership. When you look at some of the players that we've had, and I'm looking at them going, well, they would have done a better job, and they would have done a better job. And Ryan sent something into the chat the other night that I looked through, and I was going, oh my goodness. And I was like, they were better, and they were better. And I think you could put an argument forward that this is arguably one of the worst, if not the worst, squad that we've had since we came back up to the top flight, which is damning in itself, mate. It really is. I think right now, honestly, just going to Ibrox, it's a chore. I still go because I always do, and I get why people don't go. And again, there's people that have paid money for their tickets and they've still chose not to go, which I think tells its own story in itself. But it's not an enjoyable place. You're not going there expecting to be entertained right now, and that's a really sad state of affairs. And the owners will have to have look about that stadium, and they announced that it was 50,000. It was announced it was 50,000. It was nowhere near that. You're about 35 if you're lucky. And the reason, as somebody said it earlier, like Tom Miller says it on RTV, when you're on press duties, there's a guy that comes out in the second half and walks along the back of you and tells you the attendance. So, and I'm presuming it just takes season tickets automatically. I don't know how that works, to be honest, but there's been a couple of times that I've heard the attendance while I've been there, and I've kind of looked about and thought, no, it isn't. No, it just isn't. It isn't that many. So, but the owners are not daft. They'll know exactly what's going on in terms of the attendances. It's clear on the eye for us all to see. It was quicker getting away from Ibrox on Sunday by staying to the end. You actually beat the traffic by staying to the end. That's how empty it was by the time the full-time whistle went. So,
well, even in Thursday night, Carney, even in Thursday night coming up to the Braga game, I got the train from back down home at 7 o'clock, and I was in the stadium before 8 o'clock. Which on a normal European night, that would be unheard of. I would have been in that queue for about half an hour, 45 minutes. If I'd not left at that time normally. So that tells its own stories when the European games are doing that as well as the league games, because obviously a league game on a Sunday is a bit difficult for the folk that are travelling from up north coming across from Ireland. They might decide not to travel there because it sort of clashes with other commitments that they have.
Yes, no, you are right, mate. You are right, but I think you're spot on as well. The European packages were not sold out. Hospitality's not been sold out, so there's clear signs that not everything is rosy amongst the fans at what we've been witness to. But again, I'm very much still on the side of this is not Danny Rule's fault, and it's a massive window in January. God, I literally nearly said the words, mate, coming out of my mouth again, but it is. I mean, couldn't be any more true. There's a lot of work needing done, and it's going to cost the club. It's going to cost the owners, and I think they have to really stand up to the mistakes that they've made now and fully back the manager, fully back the head coach even. They have to give him the money that he needs in order to make improvements in the squad. Whether we need to, if there's any sort of clause that we can cancel loans and send few back, then by all means I think we should. And we should be looked to offload a number of players that are just not up to it. Be it at a loss, then that's up for the owners to decide, I suppose. But there's just so much work needing done and so many players that I just don't think
this is the issue for me, Carney, as well. For me, for the transfer window, it's we all kind of are sitting there, and a lot of people are saying it like we need to get in like 6 or 7 players while shipping out roughly the same. Realistically, that's never going to happen.
No.
And this is where the concern is, and what I'm saying, like it could take 3-4 transfer windows to rectify some of the mess that's been made by the board. And in fact, then you probably look back, there's probably even transfers there from previous transfer windows that, like you mentioned, Matondo and Dibble, who are still sitting on the books.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a click your finger, January comes and all will be rosy.
No, definitely not. And I think it would be naive to think that is going to be the case. January is going to be tough, and I mean, can he get it right? 100%, he can get it right. You can get it. You could get it right with 3-4 signings. Of course, he could, but it could also not be. But Rangers right now just can't afford to have one good signing and 3 misses. They all have to be hits. They all are really going to have to work, and they have to be the right person. They have to be the right caliber. They have to be the right qualities in them. They have to be, everything about them needs to be pretty much perfect to stand a chance of really anything this season. Realistically, after Sunday, I went to myself, this team right now, with the games that we've coming up in December, I thought the league's going to be out of touch. I really do think that, just purely because I expect to beat Falkirk at Ibrox. I think if you don't win the games, then you can't win the league. So after that, I was like, that's pretty much that done, and it really leaves us only with the Scottish Cup. And again, get real confidence in us right now, the way we're playing. I don't, not with this current squad. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward. We'll wrap up with a few things, mate. The Scottish Cup draw was made, and it's Annan at Ibrox on the weekend of the 17th and 18th of January. There's something else happening that weekend, Scott. Is Club at 22 playing the Viceroy on the 16th, I think. Well, that's a good warm-up for a game against Annan at Ibrox, mate. Probably at 5:30 on a Sunday, knowing the TV. Brilliant, mate. Well, let's maximise how many people want to go to the game. Cool, we put it on, it's Sunday at 8 p.m. at night.
Yeah, you can imagine my delight when we get drawn at home in one of the early rounds of the cup. I don't like it. I honestly don't like it, because the money there for the Ludogorets game just came out of my account yesterday, and you're thinking, yes, finally that's me. Get rid of the European package, no more money coming out that way, and then you're hit with the home tie in the early round of the cup in the January. We'll need to wait and see where we are then, but you know, if we can't get a win in that, then something's seriously wrong. No disrespect to Annan, but it's always something to look out for. The first sort of round of the Scottish Cup, or the first round that we're competing in it.
Yeah.
Need to do better than we've done in the League Cup as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not exactly the toughest draw that we can possibly manage getting, I don't think, but we thought of that about Queen's Park too, so just take note, everybody. But no, you would like to think that Rangers are considered favourites for that, and hopefully by the time that comes round, you've all enjoyed a night at the Viceroy, listening to us do our bit, and you can hopefully see a few new signings in January, take part in that game. That would be good. And that's the thing as well, even if I know I'm going back and forth here, see if we leave it until like the 28th and 29th of January before we sign somebody, man, honestly, I'll be banging my head against the wall. Rangers need to be ready to go from the get-go. As soon as we can go, we go get them. It should all be getting done now. It should all be getting set up now in order to take it going forward. So, but Anne and the Cup. We'll finish up, mate, with a preview of the Dundee United game. And look, everything is game to game just now. It really is. But honestly, I've got no idea what to expect from Rangers tomorrow night. Again, probably a slog. I'm expecting it to be quite a difficult game. These are two, I mean, they can be considered two tricky fixtures, I suppose. But right now, the current form that we are showing, the back-to-back that we have with away in Tannadice and away to Rugby Park on Saturday, these are difficult games for us in the current predicament that we find ourselves. Scotia, it's so hard to predict what we might do tomorrow night, what performance we might see from Rangers tomorrow night. I don't know. But to say I'll be rushing home from work to make sure I'm sitting down ready to rock and roll for it starting, and I'll be full of buzz to watch Rangers, I would be absolutely lying.
Yeah, it's seasons past, we could probably said that Rangers playing away from Ibrox probably suited us a bit more. Don't know if we can say that this season. I mean, just looking at the table, we've played 13 games and we've drawn over 50% of our games. We've got 7 draws there, which tells you everything about the team at the minute. Dundee United haven't been in the best form recently, but that's not to say that it's not going to be a difficult game tomorrow night. I think it will be. Probably could be quite a cold night. Not looked at what the weather's meant to be doing over in Dundee, but we really need to be getting in there and getting the maximum points, because one thing that I was looking at in terms of the fixtures coming up is two of the teams that we want to be catching up to are both playing each other at the weekend. I mean, no, I'm maybe getting a wee bit far ahead of myself there in terms of that, but we don't want to be dropping any more points before they come to play each other, because you'd like to think that they could get a nice wee draw for us between each other and hopefully give us a wee bit more light, but it's difficult to see at the minute, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to think that I was confident of Rangers being able to pick up 6 points over the next 2 games, mate, and then we see what happens. But I guess I can't really see it, to be honest. I think it will be tough. I want to be wrong, of course, and I mean, we might win, we might draw. I don't know. We'll need to wait and see. But these are just difficult games. Dundee United themselves are 8th in the league just now. They are sitting on where's the points? 15 points. So obviously we are 7 points ahead of them. Their last game that they played, they drew 1 each with Kilmarnock on Saturday at Rugby Park. They were beat at home, shockingly, by Falkirk by 3-0 the weekend before that. They got a 1 each with Hearts, and before that they get beat off Motherwell. So not in a great run of form as it stands, but again, we're in a decent run of form when you look at it. It's been 4 wins and a draw. That's not the worst record by any stretch of the imagination, but your eyes don't lie to you, considering what we're seeing in the performance levels that we're seeing on the park right now. So that's why I'm expecting a bit of a slog. I really am expecting a bit of a slog. On that, Scotia, we will finish with our team predictions and our scores. I'll go first. Now, I still wouldn't play Giga, but I think, and this is, again, probably more damning for the rest of the squad than it is for James Tavernier, but I think Tav still is up there with one of our best players that we have just now. And I know he's not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but neither is the rest of the team. So I don't know if you would take him out of being able to influence the game from the area of the pitch that he plays in when he pushes a little bit further forward. But and I'm not a massive fan of Max Aarons either, but I'd be tempted to put James Tavernier at centre half just now, beside Fernandez, McGoma on the left, Aarons on the right, a midfield 3 of it'll be Raskin, Barron and Cameron. And then I would go Gassama. Gassama, Curtis, and I don't know what striker I would play. Honestly, I've got no idea. Again, put the three names of them in a hat and pick one out. Whatever one comes out, we'll play him. Shamiti, I think, was getting a test. Was getting kind of fitness test today to see if he was going to be available for tomorrow night. So yeah, put one of their names in a hat, pick it out and play them. But I would be getting Callanish and Curtis on. I would be dropping Giga and I'd be moving Tavin. And yeah, hopefully that's enough for us to see a win. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Rangers based on very little. And I'll go for Curtis to make an amazing comeback and to score the first goal for Rangers. But I don't care how we win tomorrow. I generally don't. I just want Rangers to win. Scotia?
Yeah, I'm going for a kind of similar team to yourself. I did think in terms of the centre halves, I was thinking, I know he's brought in Ciala back into the squad. He's maybe not played as much, but he's brought him back into the squad. The one reason I probably wouldn't play him is that he's left-sided, is the same as Fernandes. So I'd be sticking with Tav, Giga, Fernandes and Magoma as my backline with Butland behind them. Midfield, same as you, Raskin, Barron and Cameron. And then this is where I'm kind of going hell for leather and going Badrami and Gassama with Curtis. Whether he plays that as a kind of Gassama behind and play Badrami and Curtis slightly further forward. That's what I'd potentially like to see, because the strikers at the minute aren't doing anything for me. No. And I'll go slightly more confident in yourself. I'll go 3-1 Rangers. Anything better than last time we played Dundee United, where Tav rescued us in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah,
anything in October.
Yeah, anything better than that. To me, anything better than Sunday, and we'll give ourselves a fighting chance. Generally, it would not be hard to see an improved performance from Rangers after Sunday, but let's hope that there's no kind of carry on from that, and we do see a much improved performance. And Danny Rule leads a riot act a little bit, gives his players a good shake, and we actually see something from them that's actually slightly entertaining to watch. That would be very nice. That will do us for tonight. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Do very much appreciate it. Again, please don't forget about or hang about in order to get your tickets for the live show. They are selling fast, and there is a limited number, so make sure you get them. We can't wait to see you all there. For tonight, Scotia, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, cheers, Carney. Like you said, it's a wee bit of a therapy session there, kind of get some stuff off our chest. But as bad as Rangers have been, that was enjoyable tonight. Thank you, Carney, and thanks everyone for listening as well.
Always a pleasure to sit with John Wick doing a podcast, mate. I'll never ever take it for granted how lucky I am that I get to sit with the main man. So, no, thank you for joining me, Scotia. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. We will be back tomorrow night with a reaction, win, lose or draw. I hope very much we are discussing a Rangers win tomorrow night. But until then, enjoy your rest of your Tuesday night and your Wednesday, and we'll speak to you after the game. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.